Hi, I have read the self-assessments and I'm seeing some themes coming out as people write. I have heard loudly that you need more instruction in commas, and we'll sort of get to that in this slideshow. But I also heard that people are more confident. I've seen that trend. And I heard from a couple people they wish the assignments, what they had to do were more, I think as one person put it, high octane. So I'm going to try to address some of these issues, definitely not by adding more assignments, but by giving you more to think about in the already existing assignments. What I want to do today is take you through a slideshow. Let's do that now. And we want to work a little bit today on sentence structure. I think from the readings I've had you do and the online readings and such, you know what a subject and a predicate are. This is always a noun. This is a verb. So a simple, very simple basic sentence is the dog jumped. You don't need any more than that to make a sentence. So that sentence is rather boring. If we always wrote sentence, the dog jumped, the cat meowed. Oh boy, why bother? We'd be back to see Dick run in the old primers I used to teach me how to read in. So you can add detail. This is something we've already learned, the relative clause, through a relative clause. The dog who belonged to Kathy jumped. The dog who looked cute in his new coat jumped. Now notice I don't have any commas in the first example there, but I do in the second. Why? There's a difference between what they call restrictive clauses and non-restrictive clauses. When I say the dog who belonged to Kathy, I'm denoting that that's a dog. It's the only dog. It's a dog that belongs to Kathy. That never changes. It belongs to Kathy. Because who belonged to Kathy is what we call a restrictive noun, it's going to attach right to dog, and we don't need commas. The next sentence, the next example, I put in who looked cute in his new coat. Is that important to know when he jumped? It's a nice detail, right? But it doesn't change the dog in any way. It gives an impression of what you think, and so you're going to set that off with commas. Okay? Now, a participle, which you're studying this week, it's a verb that is ed or ing ending, but it's not used as a verb. It's used to describe. I have added to the dog who belonged to Kathy, jumped, I have added running at a rapid pace, which is a participle phrase. The dog who belonged to Kathy jumped. So we know now a little bit more about what he was doing, and we have running at a rapid pace, which is the comma, or the prepositional phrase. We put a comma there because we've interrupted the flow of subject predicate. Remember how I said sentences of a subject and a predicate? If you put something before that subject, you have to set it off with commas. Okay? And in this last slide here, we have to set this off with commas because it's not very important, and it interrupts the dog jumped. It interrupts the subject and the predicate. Now, I've said this differently here. The dog who belonged to Kathy jumped running at a rapid race. It's unclear who is running. Is Kathy running? Is the dog running? Notice I put it at the end of the sentence and I have it punctuated correctly because I'm not interfering with the predicate and the subject. I'm sticking something at the end. So I'm not going to have anything here, any comma here. But running at a rapid pace is a really what we call a dangling modifier, a misplaced modifier, so we really should put it closer to the dog. Okay. Now, if you have more than one adjective describing a noun, you must use commas. And I'm giving you an example. Running at a rapid pace, we already had that comma, we're going to leave it. The beige, mangy dog. I have two different adjectives. I need the comma between them. Who belonged to Kathy jumped. I've introduced this a little bit earlier, but commas with anything that obstruct the subject and the predicate, that's usually when you're going to use commas. There's some other things that commas are needed for, like I showed you with the nouns in a row. But anything that comes between dog and jumped, subject, predicate, gets the commas. Okay? If you interrupt it, you need a comma. The dog jumps. The dog who finds trouble where he goes. Okay, now, again, this is not something we need, so we set off with comma, jumps. The dog running at a rapid pace jumps. We put that in there. And notice I put them here in the middle of the sentence between dog and jumped. Because I did that, sorry about that. You have to have commas. See, dog, subject, interrupted, and then we've got jumps, predicate, who finds trouble where he goes. Same thing if we're using a dependent clause. When the first signs of spring arrive, that doesn't make sense by itself. It's what we call a dependent clause. It's going to interrupt the dog and jumps, the subject and the predicate. Because it comes before the predicate, we have interrupted the flow of the sentence, so we need a comma to tell the reader the subject's coming. The dog, running at a rapid pace, jumps over the gray aging fence. Notice commas. Why didn't I put this back to slideshow? I'm sorry. And the dog running at a rapid pace. If you have any questions about this, first of all, it's a lot of info. Review it a couple times. Look at your writing. See if you can pick out situations where you've done this. And then, if you're totally confused, put it in raise your hand. Don't email me. I mean, this is one time I'm saying, don't email me. Put it in raise your hand so we can have a discussion. Okay? So that everybody benefits from it. I hope you always do check that raise your hand form, because many times I've answered a question in that form, and then somebody emails me the very same question. Sorry I didn't get this back. I'm not used to using PowerPoint. I'll get better at it, okay?